Let's hit the high road. Let's hit the high road. It's the first touch, strong connection. It lays deep in your soul. Feel the kindness strongly coming, 'cause you can achieve your goal. Let's hit the high road. Let's hit the high road.
Hi, this is Nancy Earl, and welcome to High Road to Humanity. And I have Stephanie Banks here today, and she is joining us from Florida, and she's a channel, you guys, and welcome to the High Road.
Thank you, Nancy. And as we already established, you're a channel too. We're all channels.
Yes, we are, and you're a highly sought after intuitive channel. You're a mentor, you're a guide, and you help people connect on the soul level. And I just think this is really interesting. You communicate with animals, you communicate with nature, and you communicate with people who have passed on, as well as souls, I guess, that are here today, right? Is that correct?
That's right. You got it. And that is what's super fun and cool is to channel the souls that are here
Yeah.
because our higher selves are trying to talk to us all the time. And the souls of our living beloveds are trying to communicate with us as well. So learning about how to tap into that can be very illuminating.
Yeah, it absolutely can. Well, tell us your story. You had an experience with your mom. She had dementia. And this is kind of, I'll preface this with saying that this is kind of what brought out your abilities, these natural abilities that we all have. Tell us what happened.
Yeah, I was struggling, of course, to try to find ways to stay connected to my mother as she was losing her ability to communicate clearly and to understand other people's communication. So I had this wonderful background as a clinician in speech pathology. I was very well trained to communicate with people who had deficiencies and, deficits in communication, but not necessarily my mother. It's a different,
The
it's a
whole
whole
different ball game,
game. Yes.
huh?
Yes, yes.
Wow.
So I was finding that we just kept missing each other, and our communications and interactions were so much more frustrating than anything else. And the tactics and techniques that I might use, say, with a client of mine in a hospital setting, were not they really weren't just appropriate to use with my mom because I had a totally different relationship with her.
Mhm.
And I needed help. And lucky for me, I had a best friend at the time who's now on the other side supporting me in my channeling. But
Aw.
she is and was a very gifted channel. And I asked her, would you mind channeling my mom? Because this is just breaking apart this relationship. And I feel like I'm failing miserably at whatever my soul is meant to do to be in service to her.
Mhm.
So we sat in her backyard in front of a fire pit by a lake, and she channeled messages for me from my mom based on the questions that I asked. And I learned what I was doing wrong. I learned what I was doing right. I learned what she really needed from me, and how to kind of step out of the way where I was being maybe a little intrusive in
And
her.
this is why she's still with us. This is while she is still here on the
Correct.
planet.
This
And
is
I
during
just
her
want to
living.
clarify this, that
Mhm.
this is not after she's passed. So,
No.
and I just want to, this is amazing because everybody can do this, but continue on. So she taught you that you could do it too, right?
Yeah. Well, so hearing the messages, hearing my mother's soul's communication while she was still embodied was a
Right.
total game changer for me because it had the answers that I needed to improve our relationship. So I was very willing to apply that information to our live relationship, and things changed dramatically, permanently, like forever. Now my mom's on the other side. We have probably the best relationship
Oh
we've
my
ever
God, that you
had.
have. I know. I have that with my sister too. Isn't that funny? My sister Judy passed and she's around me all the time. And I have a better relationship with her now than I did
Yeah.
before. Isn't that bizarre?
Yeah, it's wonderful to know that that's possible,
I
but even
know.
while my mom was in her skin, we still improved the relationship because of the channeling. So I realized if this can change my dynamic with my mother, this could have wide-reaching effects on all of my relationships, and I need to learn to do this for myself, and eventually I learned to do it for others.
Yeah. Well, and we all need to learn to do this because we all have the ability. We're all telepathic. And this brings up a show I did recently with a lady out of England who worked with autistic children. And I wanted to ask you about this because she connected with a certain young man. And they connected and they had made the plan before they came over that they would do this. This is, if you believe in reincarnation. And so they were together and she realized that they could communicate telepathically. And that's how he communicated. Now, with you being a communication speech, specialist, have you seen this as well with autistic as well as other people who have speech issues that they can use the same type of communication?
Yeah, well, as a clinician, my approach when I would work with individuals with autism or on the spectrum was a very kind of linear way of approaching. There were certain things we were trying to elicit,
Hmm.
or train or teach. So totally different than what I do now, which is I do actually channel for quite a few clients who have loved ones with autism or who are on the spectrum. And that's at the soul level.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah. So the clinical part of it is truly separate, in my opinion and experience, from the
Oh,
soul part of it. And I
okay.
prefer to hang
Okay.
out in the soul part of it now.
Okay, I see. So let me clarify this for the audience, just so they understand. So it's not like you're telepathically speaking to someone, you're speaking to their soul directly.
Yes, I'm inviting their soul to share with me through language and images and whatever other information I can understand what it is that they need, or what it is they're here for, or how they're meant to be in service, or whatever the question is that will serve their relationships in this journey. That's the channeling
Yeah.
aspect.
It's a game changer, isn't it? Well, can I just ask, and I hope I don't want to dig too deep, but because I know you've written some books, and I want to say she is an author, joining Joni, staying connected to your loved ones through dementia and beyond. But as you were Chandler, or talking to your mother's soul, did you find out like what her purpose was? Did that come up? Would you
I
mind
sure
sharing any of
did.
that? What is,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Well, I mean, we are here not just for a singular purpose, but if we were to whittle it down to a singular purpose, it would be to love, of course.
right.
It would be to learn to love more expansively, get closer to divine, pure love, agape, whatever you source energy, all of that.
Right.
So ultimately, that's all of our purpose. If you're looking for yours, there it is. But for my mom's particular specific journey, this was a lifetime for her of receiving, of being served by others.
Okay, she had served others in others' lifetime, so now it was her turn to be served. Is that proper?
Exactly.
Okay.
And sometimes as a child witnessing that can feel confusing. Why is she attention seeking, for example? Or why is there so much, she takes up so much space in a room, for example. But this was part of what fed her spirit and her soul, was to have that focus and attention, and be there and receive love and affection, attention, et cetera, in that way.
Mhm.
So, in terms of what was really useful to me, though, was to understand my parents' dynamic, because there were moments when I would swoop in with my superhero cape on and think, I am going to rescue my father from this particular situation.
Right.
And what my mom's soul said was, back up, Susie.
He needs to learn, huh?
This is my space. Yeah, this is my relationship, my space. What's unfolding here is ours, meaning hers and my father's, to do.
Right.
And I learned through the channeling that in a previous lifetime, my father had committed made an agreement with my mom to serve in a particular way, and he had fallen short in a previous lifetime. So
Okay.
this was their moment for
To get
him
it
to
together.
deliver. And boy, did he. I mean, in every possible way. So what looked to me like, I guess threatening or too much or whatever I didn't understand was actually so meaningful and purposeful and necessary for their relationship.
I love that. I
Yeah.
think that's wonderful. Well, and I'm going to skip ahead a little bit on my notes here because I have lots of questions for you. But you talk about divine divorce, uncoupling. And, I want to say this because I went through a divorce the last few years and several years back. And it's interesting because even when you are detached from that person or you think you're detached from this person, and I'm only speaking from experience, but I want to hear what you say. I could still feel the soul calling out or trying to, make peace. And as an intuitive, I'm an empath, intuitive. You pick that stuff up, and it's really interesting that you talk about this. Do you help people like in counseling situations where they need to let go, or you say decouple, uncoupling. I like that. That's interesting.
Mhm,
Talk
mhm.
about this. I mean, it's kind of a different thing, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, conscious uncoupling is a beautiful term, and there's actually a process for that. I am not specific. I'm not trained in that, but I learned a lot more about it when I was in the process of contemplating and eventually engaging in divorce, because that's what my heart really wanted to experience was that. As you come together in marriage, which with a foundation of love, it can be done that you decide to change the dynamic and the container also through love. And I won't say that I have mastered that. That would be a big fat lie. Um, but but I know it's possible because I have seen, people do that, achieve that, and be able to walk through the very difficult and heart-wrenching process of divorce, but
Mhm.
maintaining their deep care, respect, understanding, compassion for each other. I do work with couples. I am not a mental health professional. I do not offer counseling, but
Mhm.
what I offer is channeling. So I have sat with couples on Zoom, and they have asked me, can you channel our souls? Can we hear what we are actually here to do together? Is it time for us to part ways? How do we do that in the highest service? How do we manage the emotions and needs of our family members who have depended on this union and this structure? So we get really deep when we go to the soul perspective. And if your heart's open to it and your mind is open to it, you can really like kind of transcend a lot of the muckety muck of
Yeah,
the,
that's my biggest question. Has it worked for people?
I mean, what does worked mean, really? Like,
Well, I mean, I guess peace of the soul. The soul is at peace,
yeah,
a peace. I guess I want to say, to me, it would be a peaceful separation. You go your way, I'll go mine. No, no hard feelings, let it go. Not carrying any baggage, not carrying any anger, that type of thing. You know what I mean?
yeah, it can alleviate a lot of that, but
Yeah,
I don't know that it's that type of work is so inner and so ongoing that it
yeah,
requires a regular commitment.
yeah.
Just hearing it through channeling is not going to affect like all
Right, right.
aspects of it, but it can certainly illuminate and provide support and ideas and creative solutions when you feel, because right when we're stuck in the personality and stuck in the ego and
Hmm.
and divorce brings out the worst in everybody
Oh,
because that
right.
it gets at your core fears of scarcity
Yeah.
and not having is someone going to take stuff from me? Are my relationships with my children going to remain healthy and well? So many fears get, brought up through this process. And so many people do divorce through the courts, and that is just horrible most of the
Yeah.
time. But
Yeah.
I actually am a big promoter of now I'm trying to think of the name of it. Collaborative divorce. It's a thing.
Oh,
It's a
it's
whole,
a thing?
it's a thing. It's a legal approach. There are collaboratively trained family lawyers who have, it's a team that gets together to support a couple in as close to conscious uncoupling as you can.
Yeah.
Um, and you have all the support you need. There's a psychologist that's usually on the team. There's your financial neutral that's on the team, and
I love it.
they're dedicated to moving you through the process with as much ease as possible.
Right. Well, I want to say that, just my opinion only here on this one, the couple has to be at a certain level, energetically, I'll say, in order to even do something like this, because you'd have to be on that kind of a level where you're into the love and you're into the compassion, and you're not into the ego. Otherwise, it wouldn't work out. But what I like about what you're talking about is that I think you said it highlights things that you can work on. Oh, well, this is why it's bothering you at your soul level. Oh, I didn't realize that. Well, let's work on that. So to me, that would be really interesting if you really wanted to make something work and you were both working on yourselves. The problem that I see a lot, and I'll just throw this out here, is that one person will work on themselves and then the other person chooses not to. And when you
Mhm.
have that happen, and I see that a lot today as people are raising their consciousness, what do you see this as well?
Yes, and then you can also have two people who are working at vastly different paces.
Mm-hmm.
So it can sometimes look like someone's not doing anything, but they are. But it's not, you can't perceive it. You can't tell because
You
you're
can't
not
judge.
right. And you're not seeing the results of it that you really want to see. So we
Right.
get all enmeshed in each other's paths and journeys. And that's what my mom taught when we were channeling her, is like, stay in your lane and, be true to myself.
Be
But
true to yourself.
recognize that there are relationships here that I am not meant to intrude upon.
I love that. What was the thing that really shocked you the most that your mother shared with you that really left an impact on you?
I think even though it made perfect sense, I think I was surprised to learn that this was intended to be a lifetime for her um, to receive, I don't want to say to be pampered, because it wasn't like that. She had trials in her journey for sure. But really one of more relative ease,
Mm.
because I had this view of like, no, we all have to work very hard. You need
Yeah.
to work harder.
And
But her
sometimes we don't.
absolutely, and she didn't. She wasn't here to
Yeah.
like work really hard. She
Yeah.
was here to enjoy. Sometimes souls
Yeah.
are here to enjoy.
It's so funny because I'm one of those people that is supposed to be here to mostly enjoy, but I am such a worker that comes from my family. You get that bred in you, work, 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 you're going to achieve more. But sometimes I've learned that the universe does want you to step back and just let them do their thing,
Yeah.
and that's a hard one. You know, um, Channeling, this is so interesting. Now, I don't know if you know this, but I channel Archangel Gabriel.
Mhm.
And I do it because he brings forth such wonderful messages for humanity. I know it's Gabriel when he comes in. I know the energy, I can feel it. Let's talk about this because you have to be careful when you're channeling. Anybody can channel, but how did you know when you started, when your mom passed, that it was her? Tell the audience, so give them some tips. So they're not bringing things in, like I'll say a prayer beforehand, these type of things.
Yeah.
Do you want to address that a little bit?
Yes, yes, because all of us, whether we consider ourselves to be able to channel or not, have a responsibility to maintain the best energetic hygiene that we possibly can. And this is for ourselves, our families, our communities, the world, Mother Nature, everything.
Mhm.
So, if you want to be comfortable and fairly confident that you are a point of attraction for high vibrational loving energy, then you must cultivate high vibrational loving energy within.
Correct.
It's just simple, right? This is universal law. I'm not making it up. This is just what is. So any practices and rituals that elevate your energy, that bring you into a state of peace, that allow for you to feel held and loved and supported. And that is different for everybody. But find what works for you. Meditation is essential, I find, but there's so many ways to meditate that you might be surprised that your walk in the park actually counts as meditation.
Right.
And it doesn't have to be sitting cross-legged and oming and feeling like you're failing.
Hmm.
So, and then I find as well, for me to be a clear channel, I must have regular time in nature. Nature
Right.
for me is the greatest clearing mechanism. So anything that's heavy and dense and feels dark or troublesome can really just be lifted away, melted away, drained to the core of the earth, whatever,
How do you
what,
call it grounding? I teach them to ground. Do you teach
yeah.
people to ground themselves? Okay.
Absolutely.
All right,
Absolutely.
great.
It's
Okay.
grounding, it's centering, it's anchoring, it's drawing up at beautiful energy from Mother Earth and letting
Right.
it drain out what doesn't, what we can't use, what's not for us. So there we are always at risk of aligning energetically with sticky, junky, clunky, low vibe energy. We're at risk of this because it's all around us and because there are people, groups that are focused on eliciting fear and then manipulating that fear to their own aims. And so all of us are going to be vulnerable to that. So this is what brings us back to the essential nature of us. We are here as beautiful, loving beings, all of us. And
Mhm.
so commit to practices that bring that and steady you in that.
Right.
And then in terms of discerning which soul from which soul, the way I learned to channel was that I make requests of the particular soul I'm looking to hear from. So instead of opening to whoever is there, which I don't really recommend,
I know, and
because
that's why I wanted you to bring this up because, like, I will call in Archangel Gabriel. I
correct.
don't call anything else in
Yeah.
who's holy and divine. I even go that extra step,
Yeah.
um, because you can call in things that, that you don't want in.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that can be
Yeah,
very chaotic and confusing and fear-based and all of that. So the way I channel, I say is on request. If I want to channel from the angelic realm, I'll make that request. If I want to channel my mother's soul, I'll make that request. If I want to channel the higher self of my client, I make that request. And I just know based on the feel and based on my years of practice that that is the energy that I've requested.
that's
And
it.
if it's not, because sometimes a soul does not want to come through, it's very rare. But when it happens, I can feel and see and hear. It's not me, but I'm sending guides on my behalf. So I
Yeah.
will still get a message, but it won't necessarily be directly from that soul. It'll be from a spokes soul, if you will.
I love it. I love it. I've got a new book coming out. It's a guide to angel communication and spiritual law. And I bring it up because it's about exactly what we're talking about. I teach people how to connect to the divine source. You can say God, you can say spirit. I teach people how to connect to their guardian angel, how to ground, how to connect with Mother Earth, all of these things because it's so important that we stay centered with all the craziness going on in the world. I want to bring up because this is High Road to Humanity. This whole thing, it's really interesting to watch, and I want to get your take on this. We'll go a little worldwide here. We've got Miss Taylor Swift out there on these concerts, and what's been really interesting, I've been watching, is that I thought, well, you know what? You've got young girls out there singing. You've got older ladies out there singing. You've got moms and daughters going to these concerts together. And this is really kind of cool. I'm not a Swiftie, but this is pretty uplifting to see. But then you see that the dark comes in and says, "Oh no, we won't have that." And I'm talking about what just happened to her in Vienna and where they had to shut her down. I don't know if you've heard this. I bring this out because this is High Road to Humanity. This is what the show's about. And here you have all of these people, hundreds of thousands. I think there were 200,000 people to attend her three concerts. And they had three ISIS guys who were going to come in and cause trouble. The reason I bring this up is what I saw today on social media was all the people in Vienna all gathered together as a group singing her songs.
Mm.
And I thought they're doing everything they can to stop, joy, to stop fun, to stop, these events. But look what the people are doing. That really hit me. I know it may sound a little, but I thought it was pretty profound that people thought, no, we're not going to let them do this. And I think it made me have that idea that this is what's going to stop this,
Mm.
that people don't want this anymore. And what do you pick up? I mean, what do you get on your tailing? I just really feel that, the love is coming back and people are like, no, uh-uh. You know what I mean?
Yes, I think that's beautiful. I did not actually hear about that story, so,
Yeah.
thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah.
I know there's not a bone in my body or a cell that doesn't believe that love, love wins. I know
Love
that love.
wins. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely.
And
Yes.
so if you really do look historically and carefully at the origin of those who behave destructively and violently, you will see that there's absence of care, of love, of compassion. It does not happen in a vacuum. People are not born. I do not believe souls come in evil. I believe that these are learned things and these are behaviors that are taught, and anything that has been taught can be untaught. We have this enormous capacity to right ourselves. And the only thing I believe that's going to come bring that around, of course, is the application of love.
Mhm.
So apply it everywhere to
Yes. I
your
love it.
politics, to
Yeah.
your schools, to the children, to your families, to your sweet animals. Look at your beautiful cat
I
behind.
know. Let's talk about the animals. My cat decided to just pop in. That's Piper over there. He's a little over a year old. He's just lovely. I love my animals. I have such an attachment to the animals. And you talk about your tailing with I want to hear about this because I feel like they hear me. I don't know. I
Mm.
feel like we communicate pretty well. Talk about the soul, but this is a little different again, isn't it?
No, it's
It's
not.
the
You
same.
what you feel is right on, sister.
Okay.
That's happening. Yes. That is happening. And I really, in my house where me and my kids are so hilarious with this because we kind of all channel the animals
I
in
love it.
hilarious ways. Every one of my dogs has a very distinct personality, and
Mm.
my kids like to give them like a job, a background, like a history. So one of them is a defense contractor, believe it or not. And another one, I don't know. It's super creative and we
Oh,
give
cool.
them voices. And there are times when one of my kids will say something for the animal, and I will look at that animal and swear, I know you just meant to say that. Like that is so right
Like
on.
they're putting their words into their mind so that they can verbalize it. Is that what you're
Yes,
saying?
yes.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
this is the joy of channeling for me. I mean, we in my work with humans, it's, generally a more serious kind of thing. There's a lot of humor that comes through. But with animals, because they are pure positive energy,
They
you can,
are.
yes, you can go really high and fly with them and just know like, yeah, they are here to lift and uplift. They are here to bring us to the present moment time and time again. They are here to remind us of the beauty and joy and bliss of life. I mean, look at your cat, how
I
comfortable
know.
and
Well, and somebody told me, and I believe this, that because I started to pay attention, that, cats sleep a lot, but somebody said, and I don't know where I saw this, that they astro travel. And
mm,
I know they probably do because they are little souls. And I want to clarify that all animals have their own soul. Yes?
I believe so.
I believe so. Okay.
Yes.
I think so. And so, but what I've noticed is like cats will go into a dark place to hang
Mm,
out for a while. And I believe that's when they astro travel and they do their own little meditation. I call it cat meditation.
yeah.
I don't know. And I think dogs do that too, because when dogs sleep, you can see them, like their eyes will move and they'll twitch because
Yeah.
they're dreaming. So are they astro traveling like we do? Because we kind of do that too. You know what I mean?
I mean, who can say for, how do we verify this?
I don't know. I don't know. Well, what have you learned since you've been doing with animals? What have you learned that would be interesting or something that funny story or anything that you want to tell us about the animals?
I actually believe that animals are here to save us.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
The love it's just so pure, that they offer freely without hesitation, without withholding. There's nothing complicated about the love and companionship of an animal, even an animal that has a history, behind it of mistreatment or abuse, etc. All of them capable and endlessly giving of love. So we have an entire system. I'll talk about our food system, our agriculture system, that is built on horrific practices towards animals. And
I agree.
yeah, and if you love your companion animal, that love, I really strongly encourage it, like extend that to all living creatures.
Right.
Because to look at one in a certain way of a higher value, and then another as something that you can discard or have torturous practices around because it's going to end up on a plate. No, this is just outside of the realm of what humans, how we're meant to be and how we're meant to live. We cannot split ourselves off from any suffering. I also don't believe that humans are supreme over animals. I actually believe, and we've put ourselves in a situation where of dominating, and that has been very destructive and very separating and very painful to our hearts. But animals have every bit of value and place and purpose, I believe, as we
Oh,
do
yeah.
as people. And we're meant here to be caretakers of life. We have the abilities that we have so that we can tend to
Take
and
care of the animals. We are here to take care of the animals. I'll probably get myself in trouble here, but I'm going to talk a little bit since you brought it up on the food supply. I can't eat any meat anymore. I am ill every time I try to eat meat. Because I'm so healthy now and I raised my vibration. This is all in coordination, I think, by the way. This is my opinion only. I'm not a doctor, just throwing this out there, not giving medical advice by any means. But I can just tell you that I cannot eat meat.
Mhm.
I get sick, and I know for sure. And I don't know if we were ever really intended, maybe some fish. I don't know if we were really intended to eat that much meat. I don't know. But I feel like you do. And the meat's not good anymore. I'm sorry. It's not, I mean, we just had this big recall. I can say this. Boar's Head. I used to buy Boar's Head lynch meat all the time. I would buy their bacon. I can say this because it's been in the news. And they had a huge recall, especially here where I'm at in Connecticut. And there have been people I saw this morning, I think 4 people have died, literally. And there's like 65 people who are ill across. I don't know if you had this happen in Florida, but it did happen here in the East Coast. So they pulled all the meat, lunch meat off the shelves. The grocery stores here had to pull everything off that surrounded the meat. It was like a major cleaning thing and I can't tell you, I'm not, again, not a scientist, don't know what infected it, but it's almost like, to me, it was like, okay, that's a sign,
Mhm. Mhm.
and so
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just, and what do you eat? And then it gets back to, okay, what do
Oh.
you eat?
Oh,
You know,
wow. Okay. Well, I should say I am not neutral on this subject.
okay.
I am a plant-based eater.
Are you really?
And
Okay.
yes, and I know this is what my body, physical and energetic body, need in order for me to be a clear, high vibrational, loving channel.
Yeah.
I'm not going to tell anybody what to do, but I'm going to ask everybody to question what they are doing and look further. I don't think anyone at this point in time is unaware of the cruelty that is involved with animals that are slated for the meat industry. You'd have to have your head in the sand for the last 2 decades to say, oh, I didn't know it was that bad. It's that bad. It's horrifying. Excuse me, to the point where I still cry regularly about it for these billions of animals that live such horrific lives and end in such horrific ways. So I encourage people, let your heart lead and guide you here, because the question isn't, well, if you don't eat animals, what else is there? Are you kidding me?
Yeah, there's other things to eat, but
Are you kidding
yeah,
me?
but it's hard. It's hard to figure it out. That's part of That's part of it. It's like, you have to change your whole diet. You have to change everything.
I'm not gonna buy into it's hard. I'm not. Um, we've just been conditioned. We have been
Yes.
conditioned to a
Yes.
certain type of to what's on our plates, but
Mhm,
we can re-examine that.
mhm.
And with today's internet and today's chefs and today's endless vegetables and fruits and grains and
Yeah.
everything that is legumes, everything that is available, there is no question that there is just as much food as ever, if not more, and you do not have to include animal flesh on on your plate. And yes, you can still get the protein that you need because we are a
Yeah.
society obsessed with protein. I have studied this for a long time. Food Revolution Network is a wonderful, wonderful organization, and they will give you all of the current science and information because everywhere you look, you're going to find something else that like discounts it, that says, well, this is why you should only be eating meat, and this is why you should only be. So ask your heart and your body and do a deep dive and see if your heart breaks at any point with regards to the plight of these animals, then start to make some changes. Change can and should be made gradually, slowly, and celebrate.
And read the labels because I have read the labels and there's a lot of bioengineering in our food. So read
Yeah.
the labels. I see that a lot now. Bioengineered, bioengineered. Just throwing that out there. I have to tell you, Stephanie, you and I are on the same page. What really shook me a few years ago, one of my girlfriends had a little boy and she said, let's go to the zoo. And I said, okay, I haven't been to the zoo in years. Oh my God, I couldn't go to the zoo. I wanted to let the animals out of the cages. I am such an empath and my vibration's different than it used to be when I went to the zoo before. And I couldn't handle it because you see which you didn't see before. You feel the empathy for the animals, which you didn't realize before. And then you can see that some people see it and some people just don't. They just don't see it at all. And I'm just like, let these monkeys go. You know what I mean? So I can't go to the zoo anymore. Okay. And I don't think, I'm just going to say this. I don't think we should have zoos at all. I don't agree with this. I don't think we should. Why? No, it would be like putting us in cages. But no,
Yeah,
you feel that way too?
I don't disagree.
Like, and the same thing
I
with aquariums. I love the fish just as much as anybody else, but come on. And the dolphin things, the dolphins are not happy there in captivity, you know? It goes
uh,
back to the
it's
elephants that my dad was a Shriner. We used to go to the Shrine Circus. But think about those elephants. I mean,
yeah.
honest to God, they don't do that anymore. But okay, we're on a whole thing. Stephanie, tell me what you have going on. Tell the audience what you have going on. How can they get in contact with you? I know your website is soulinsight.com. Is that
Mhm.
proper? Okay.
That's right. That's
All
right.
right. And
Yeah.
sell yourself. What do you got coming up? What's going on?
Well, I just invite people if this resonates with them and they'd like to have a channeling session, go ahead and schedule one. You won't be sorry. We can channel any soul that's here on the planet with you right now, including your animals. I channel trees, I channel Gaia. We can find out what your higher self wants to chat with you about. We can hear from your spirit guides. You have guides for every aspect of your life, from the most mundane to the most magical. So these channeling sessions, I'm told, have been completely life-changing for many, many, many clients. And it's what I love to do. So if you go to soulinsight.com, you can schedule a 30 or 60-minute session. I am often on podcasts. I am often on shows where I'm teaching a class or something of that nature. So I have some things coming up that if you sign up for my newsletter, you can find out about. I'm in the co-creation of those right now, so more information will be coming soon. And you can certainly follow me on social media, Stephanie Intuitive Channel.
Well, you're just a joy. I'm so glad you joined us today. I learned so much from you.
Thank you. And thanks for centering the animals here with us, because I feel it took me a long time to realize that I was an animal empath. I always thought, I'm so weird. Why do I not like watching these elephants parade around on their back legs and have to do tricks that are so grotesquely unnatural? How did that even happen? that they were taught to do that. And now
Or
I
the
know,
rodeo, or the rodeo.
no,
Oh
no,
my
not,
God.
don't
You know
even
what
get me
I mean?
started.
It's like, dude, we've got to put a stop to this. See, I'm here
Yeah,
to help
yeah,
humanity. We got to put
yeah.
a stop to this. All right, you guys, we got to get out of here for today, but my new book is coming out. They say it's on the Amazon in England, but it's not here yet. So you're going to be able to pre-order pretty soon. It's a guide to angel communication. In the meantime, if you would like a reading from me, I do channel with my angels and the divine, of course, and you can go to my website, nancyyearout.com. Also, if you want to pick up my other book, Wake Up, The Universe is Speaking to You, you can find it at Barnes& and Noble or at amazon.com. And I will be in Manhattan in October. I'm going to be speaking about the angels and how to connect with your guardian angel. And so if you want to come and see me, I'll be doing some angel readings. I'll be doing some intuitive readings there as well. So everybody, I hope you guys have a fabulous weekend. Thanks for joining us. Thanks again, Stephanie Banks.
Thanks, Nancy.
All right, guys, have a great weekend and God bless.